So in this lecture, we will discuss about friction, types of friction, limiting friction, laws of static and dynamic friction, angle of friction, cone of friction, friction of bodies on inclined planes and its various cases. So these are the topics which we are going to discuss in today's lecture. So as you all know, friction is an opposing force which opposes the movement of a body. So it will act in the opposite direction of the movement of the body, so that it can oppose the motion of a body. There are mainly two types of friction. One is static friction and the other one is dynamic friction. Static friction means the friction which acts on a body which is at rest. Okay, the body is not moving, it is at rest. At that time, some friction is acting on that body. That friction is known as static friction. While dynamic friction is otherwise known as kinetic friction. It is a friction which is acted on a body which is moving. Okay, there are two types of kinetic friction. One is sliding and the other one is rolling. So two types of action is there. Two types of movements are there for a body. One is sliding. A body may slide over another body or it may roll over another body. So the friction which comes into action while sliding of the body over another body is known as sliding friction, while the friction which comes into action when a body rolls over another body is known as rolling friction. Now another important term to be noted is limiting friction. Limiting friction means if you are there is a body placed on a floor or a rough surface, and we are applying force on that particular body for making the body move, but it is not moving. Okay, again what we will add, what we will do, we will add some more force, we will exert some additional force. Okay, we will again push it, and now what will happen at a particular point, that um, body will move. So at the first time while we are applying force, the body was not moving because the frictional force was greater than the force which we are applying. And at some point what will happen, this force will be lesser, that frictional force will be lesser than the force uh, which we are applying. So at that time the body starts moving. Okay, the point at which the maximum force or maximum value of frictional force which comes into play when a body just begins to slide over the surface of another body is known as limiting friction. The frictional force which comes into action when a body just starts sliding over the other, that friction is known as limiting friction. It is the maximum limit of friction that can be exerted. When applied force is less than limiting friction, body remains at rest, and the friction is called static friction, which may have a value between 0 and limiting friction. Another important term to be noted is normal reaction. So here we can see an inclined plane at an angle of inclination alpha. A body is placed over this inclined plane. The body is not moving. We all know the weight of the body will be acted downwards through the center of gravity of that particular body. And here there is frictional force, so that only the body is not moving. Okay, presence of frictional force makes the body not to move downwards. Okay, now the weight of this body or this inclined plane will have an opposite reaction on the body. Okay, that reaction force will always be perpendicular to this inclined plane. Okay, this plane will have an opposite reaction to this body weight, and it will be perpendicular to the plane. So that reaction is known as normal reaction since it is perpendicular to the plane. It is known as normal reaction. It is represented by the letter R. Always the frictional force is directly proportional to this normal reaction. As frictional force increases, the normal reaction will also increase. Another important term to be noted is angle of friction. Okay, for making a body into equilibrium, for example, here in this case you can see there is an inclined plane, a body, and there are three forces acted on this body. One is the weight of the body, it is acting downwards from the center of gravity of the body. Another force is the frictional force, and the other one is the reaction from this inclined surface. So when all these forces equilibrate each other, then the body will not move. Okay, the body will be at rest when it is in equilibrium. Now, we will increase the angle of inclination. There is an angle of inclination. At that point the body was at rest. Okay. Now we are increasing the angle of inclination. What will happen? At first the body may not be moving. At some point the body just starts sliding over the surface or inclined surface. Okay. That angle at which the body just starts to slide is known as angle of friction. Okay. Otherwise we can give another explanation. It will be the angle between the normal reaction and the resultant force. The normal reaction, the normal reaction and the vertical. Okay, this angle will be equal to the normal reaction and the vertical when the body just starts to slide over it. Okay. The next important term to be noted is cone of friction. So here in this figure you can see a plane body. Okay, there is a plane surface above which a body is placed, and this is not a body. Some body will be there. The body tends to move in this direction, so the frictional force will be acting in opposite direction. Now the normal reaction on the body is N, and the resultant of this normal reaction and this friction will be at an angle alpha from the normal reaction. Okay, the resultant of this normal reaction and this friction will be at an angle alpha from the normal reaction always. Okay. And when the limiting friction is offered, the line of action of the resultant reaction should always lie on the surface of an inverted right circular cone whose semi-vertex is lambda. This cone is called cone of friction. What it means is, when we at this point it will be in equilibrium. Okay, the body is not moving, so it will be in equilibrium. Now we are inclining this surface. We are just taking this surface up. Okay, we are inclining this surface. At some point the body will be at equilibrium. It will not be moving. But at after some time the body just starts to slide down. That is, the body just starts to move because its frictional value increased more than that of the limiting friction. Okay, up to that point the resultant force will be at an angle of lambda from the normal reaction. Okay, in whichever direction we are inclining this plane, at all that direction this resultant force will be at an angle alpha. So it will form a cone like shape. The resultant force will be within alpha angle from this normal reaction, at any direction. Okay, so since this forms a cone shape, it is known as cone of friction. We can say it as a cone of friction. Another important term to be noted is coefficient of friction. It is nothing but it is a ratio. It is a ratio between the limiting friction and the normal reaction. It is a ratio between the limiting friction and the normal reaction. Otherwise, it is expressed as tan phi, where phi is the angle of friction. In equilibrium state, we can say that, so limiting friction is acted in the state of equilibrium, right? So we can say that in equilibrium, F is equal to mu r. F is equal to mu r. Frictional force or limiting friction will be equal to mu r is the condition for equilibrium of a body. Now we are moving on to the laws of friction. There are certain laws. Laws means certain rules to be followed while discussing about this friction. There are two types of friction, static and dynamic. Both have separate laws. So laws of static friction is there, laws of kinetic or dynamic friction is also there. First we will move on to the laws of static friction. There are mainly 5 laws. These are just statements or rules which have to be followed while considering friction or frictional force. Okay. First law is the force of friction always acts in a direction opposite to that in which the body tends to move. So in static friction the body will not be moving. Okay. But it has a tendency to move in some direction. Okay. And the first rule of friction states that the frictional force will be opposite direction. Okay, the frictional force will be in opposite direction of that of the body. The body will have the tendency to move in one direction. The frictional force will be acting in opposite to that direction. Okay, that is the first rule. Second rule is magnitude of the force of friction is exactly equal to the force which tends to move the body. Magnitude of the frictional force will be equal to the force which is tending the body to move. Okay, in that condition only the equilibrium is attained. Third rule is F by R is equal to a constant. That is, limiting friction by normal reaction will be a constant, and the constant is otherwise known as coefficient of friction. Fourth rule is force of friction is independent of the area of contact. Frictional force is not dependent on the area of contact between the two surfaces. It only depends on the roughness of the surfaces. So these are the 5 rules of static friction. Now we are moving on to the laws of kinetic friction. First law is, in the kinetic friction we all know that the body will be moving. It is just moving. Okay. In that case, the frictional force will act in opposite direction to that of the movement of the body. That is the first law. Second one is this same law. F by R is equal to a constant. But in this case, the F will not be equal to limiting friction. Okay, in the case of static friction, it is F is limiting friction. But in case of kinetic friction, since the body already started moving, we cannot say that that is limiting friction. That is just the frictional force acting. Okay, F by R will be equal to a constant. That is the second law. But here in this case, the ratio is slightly less than that of the static friction. In this case, the ratio will be less than that of static friction. That in static friction. And the final law is, when the speed of the body increases, friction decreases. That is known to you. Okay. So these are the different laws of friction. Now we will discuss about the equilibrium of a body on a rough horizontal plane. So a body is placed on a horizontal plane. Okay. Now the body will not be moving if frictional force will be equal to mu into R. Okay. This is the equilibrium condition of a body placed on an horizontal plane. F is equal to mu R. F is the limiting friction or frictional force, mu is the coefficient of friction, and R is the normal reaction. If this condition is satisfied, then we can say that the body is in equilibrium. Now we have discussed about the horizontal plane, the object placed on a horizontal plane. But another case is there, object placed on a rough inclined plane is there. Okay. In that case, we have to consider many other forces. First one is, so here you can see this is a inclined plane. The first force acting on this is weight of the body, and there is a reaction of the plane, that is R, and there is a frictional force also. Okay, so this is one case. This is the case in which the angle of inclination is less than the angle of friction. That is, the body is not moving here. It is in equilibrium. In another case, what will happen if we increase the angle of friction or angle of inclination, then this body starts moving. So in this case, we have to apply a force in opposite direction. The body will be moving downwards. So frictional force is also there. Frictional force will be there. But even though the body will be moving downwards. So we have to apply an extra force, P, in the opposite direction of the movement of the body. Okay, in the same direction as that of the friction, you have to apply another force. That force is known as P. So this is another condition. Weight is there, reaction is there, friction is there, and another extra force P is also there. So this is a condition when angle of inclination is increased. So we have to consider all these forces while considering the equilibrium of a rough inclined plane. Now if the inclination of the plane is more than the angle of the friction, the body will move down, that we have already discussed. And the important forces which causes the movement of the body are forces acting. So this force we can give in 3 directions. One is along the plane, just like in the figure, we can give the force along the inclined plane. Another one is we can give the force horizontally. Another one, we can give the force at an angle to the inclined plane. So these 3 conditions are there. We have to discuss all the 3 equilibrium of all the 3 conditions. Anyway, we will discuss the first condition first. Force acting along the inclined plane. There is an inclined rough surface and the force is acted along the inclined plane. So we are considering a body which is kept at an inclined plane. If the force, okay, at some points the body will slide down. At that time you have to apply some force. Okay, W is the weight of the body. Alpha is the angle which the inclined plane makes with the horizontal, that is in angle of inclination. R is the normal reaction. Mu is the coefficient of friction between the body and the inclined plane. phi is the angle of friction such that mu is equal to tan phi. So these are the quantities which are already assumed. Okay. Now this is our case. Force. This is the inclined plane. There is a body resting on this. Frictional force is there. Weight of the body is there. Reaction is there. When the angle of inclination we have increased, so what will happen? This body slides down, tries to slides down. So we have to keep this body in equilibrium. For that, what we have to do? We have to apply another force which makes the body at rest. Okay, that force is P1. Okay, so P1 we can say that it is the minimum force which will keep the body in equilibrium when it is at the point of sliding downwards. So P1 makes it in equilibrium. P1 is the minimum force which makes it into equilibrium when it slides downwards. Okay. Now when this P1, when the applied force is very high, okay, we are applying some force for making the body into equilibrium. But when this force increases a lot, what will happen? The body will have a tendency to move upward. Okay. Body will have a tendency to move upward. So that force also we have to calculate. At what point of the applied force the body will move upward. That is the maximum force. That is P2. So P1 and P2 both we have to find out. And at what condition P1 and P2 will equilibrate that system. That also we have to find out. So for finding that, first we have to, for finding the equilibrium of the body, always we have done the resolution of forces horizontally as well as vertically. So in earlier cases also we have done that. So the same principle is used here. So first thing is force of friction is there. Frictional force F is equal to mu R. So here F1 is equal to mu into R1, which acts upwards as the body is at the point of sliding downwards. Body is tending to slide downward, so the frictional force will be acting upward. We are applying a pressure P1 or not pressure, another force P1 in order to make the body in a stable position. First we have to, here we have to consider this as the axis, this inclined plane as the axis. Okay, we are considering, in all the cases we are considering this as the x-axis. Now resolving the forces along the plane or horizontally, we can say that horizontally we are resolving the forces. We have three forces to resolve. One is P1, R1 is perpendicular, so we can neglect this, F1 and W1. So these are the three forces which are acting horizontally. So P1 is acting horizontally, so we can take it directly. F1 is also acting directly, so you can take it. Both are in the same direction, so P1 plus mu R1 plus, we are taking the horizontal component of W. W is at an angle of 270 minus alpha. So this is the angle of W. This is the angle of W. And this is total 270. Up to this it is total 270. And this small angle is alpha. So we can say that this angle is 270 minus alpha. So W is at an angle 270 minus alpha. So when we are taking horizontal component, we can take cos. So cos 270 minus alpha. Although this W is in opposite direction, no need of putting that negative sign here because we are taking the correct angle. So we can take it positive itself, and by converting it into actual, while doing actual trigonometric conversions, we will get negative sign by itself. Okay. And this will come to be P1 plus mu R1. W cos 270 minus alpha will be equal to minus sin alpha. Cos 270 minus alpha is minus sin alpha. So we are applying that equal to 0. So you will get P1 is equal to W sin alpha minus mu R1. Second step is resolving the forces perpendicular to the plane. So this is our axis. We are resolving the forces perpendicularly. So there are two forces to resolve perpendicularly. One is R1, the other one is W. So R1 is in perpendicular direction. So we can take it as such, R1 plus the vertical component of W is W sine 270 minus alpha. The angle of W is 270 minus alpha. So we are taking sine of that angle. So we can take plus. Although this is in opposite direction, no need of taking the negative sign. The conversion already gives us the negative sign. Sin 270 minus alpha is equal to minus cos alpha. So minus negative sign comes. So we can say that R1 is equal to W cos alpha. Third step is we have to substitute this value of R1 in this equation. Okay, this R1 value is substituted in this equation. You will get, substituting the value of R1, you will get P1 is equal to W sin alpha minus mu W cos alpha. W is taken out and you will get this equation. Next step is the mu in this equation is substituted with tan phi. Mu is equal to tan phi. Okay, mu is the coefficient of friction. It will be equal to tan of angle of friction. So mu is equal to tan phi is applied in this equation, and you will get this one. Now the final step is we have to multiply both sides of this equation by cos alpha. Both sides is multiplied with cos alpha. So you will get P1 cos alpha W sin alpha cos alpha minus tan phi cos alpha. Tan phi into cos phi will give sin phi, because sin by cos is equal to tan. So tan phi into cos phi will give sin phi. So you will finally get the equation like this: sin x cos y minus sin x sin y cos x will be sin x minus y. So you will get it like this. That is just a trigonometric conversion, and you will get P1 as this. So this means that if we are applying a force P1 having this quantity of force P1, if you are applying, that force will be enough to make this body in equilibrium. Okay, to resist the downward movement of this body. This force will be necessary. This force will be sufficient for restricting the downward movement of the body, so that it can be in equilibrium. So P1 is equal to W sin alpha minus phi divided by cos phi is the equation for equilibrium condition of this particular body. Now you have to find the maximum force which we can apply. This is the minimum force. Now we have to find the maximum force which we can apply. Otherwise, if the force increases, what will happen? The body will have a tendency to move upward. So we will find that force. The maximum force P2, which will keep the body in equilibrium when it is at a point of sliding upwards. So when our force increases a particular limit, the body will have a tendency to move upward. Okay. So that the friction will be acting downward. If the body has a tendency to move upward, then friction will be in the opposite direction. Okay. So the friction F2 will be equal to mu R2. Okay. F2 will be equal to mu R2, which will be acting downwards since the body has a tendency to move upward. Now, first step is resolving forces along the plane. Along the plane, we are resolving the forces. There are three forces: P2, F2 and W. So both the forces we are resolving just like the last one. Resolving the forces in a perpendicular direction, we are resolving the forces in perpendicular direction. You will get R2 is equal to W cos alpha. Now the third step is you have to substitute the value of R2 in this equation. R2 is substituted here, and then the value of mu is substituted here. Mu is equal to tan phi is substituted, and multiplying both sides with cos alpha, you will get the equation like this. So sin x cos y plus sin y cos x is equal to sin x plus y. So you'll get P2 is equal to this. So this is a maximum force that can be applied. Okay. Above this force, what will happen? The body will have a tendency to move upward. Okay. So this is the state of maximum equilibrium. So this is the case in which the force is acted along the inclined plane. So we are acting the P force along the inclined plane in all these cases. Now we are moving on to the second condition. Force acting horizontally. Force acting horizontally. So we are considering a body lying on a rough inclined plane subjected to a force acting horizontally. For example, here you can see the figure. Here we are applying the force P along horizontal direction. Earlier we have applied the force in the inclined plane, in the line of the inclined plane. Here we are applying the force horizontally. We are doing the same procedure also. In the first case, we are finding the minimum force to be applied, minimum horizontal force. So the friction will be acting upward because the body has a tendency to move downwards. So F1 is equal to mu R1. Will act upwards as the body is at the point of sliding downwards. First step is resolving the forces along the plane. Along the plane we have 1, 2 and 3 forces. Okay, there are 3 horizontal forces. One is component of P, F1 and component of W. So component of P is, the angle of P is 360 minus alpha. Angle of P is, this is our x-axis. So this angle will be 360 minus alpha. This small angle is alpha, so 360 minus alpha. So P1 cos 360 minus alpha plus mu R1. Mu R1 is in the same direction, so we can take it as positive, plus it is in the opposite direction, so anyway we have to take it as positive only. W cos 270 minus alpha. So by resolving you will get P1 cos alpha is equal to W sin alpha minus mu R1. Second step, we have to resolve the forces perpendicularly. So perpendicular resolution, there are two forces R1 and W. So R1 is in perpendicular direction and W sine 270 minus, not two forces, there are three forces. The vertical component of P1 is also there. R1 W, vertical component of P1 is there. So R1 W sine 270 minus alpha, P sine 360 minus alpha. So by resolving you will get R1 is equal to W cos alpha plus P1 sine alpha. Next step is to substitute this R1 value in this equation. You will get this one. Okay, by substituting the value in this equation you will get this one. The next step is we have to remove this mu. We have to substitute tan phi instead of this mu. So you will get this equation. The final step is, in earlier case we have multiplied cos phi in both left hand side as well as right hand side. In this case there is a numerator as well as a denominator. So we have to multiply the cos phi with numerator as well as denominator. So cos phi is multiplied top and bottom, at top and bottom. Cos phi into sin alpha minus tan phi cos alpha. Bracket is opened and multiplied it with, when it is multiplied with tan phi it will become sin phi. Cos phi into tan phi is equal to sin phi. So you will get the final equation as this one. It is cos x sin y minus sin x cos y. That is equal to sin x minus y. Cos x cos y plus sin x sin y is equal to cos x minus y. So you will get the equation as this. W sin alpha minus phi divided by cos alpha minus phi. That is same angle sin and cos. You will get tan alpha minus phi. It will become tan alpha minus phi when alpha is greater and tan phi minus alpha when phi is greater. That depends on the quantity. So this is the minimum force required to make the body in rest, restrict the downward movement of the body. Now we will find the maximum force. The same procedure is followed. Here frictional force will be acting downwards because maximum force is acted and the body have a tendency to move upward. So friction will be acting downwards. F2 is equal to mu R2. The same condition, you have to resolve the forces along the plane. Along the plane we have resolved. Perpendicular to the plane we have resolved. Now the third step is you have to substitute the value of R2 in this equation. You will get this one. Now the mu is substituted as tan phi. You will get this equation. Now we have to multiply cos phi with numerator as well as denominator. You will get the final answer. Okay. Here cos x sin y plus sin x cos y. Sin x plus y. Cos x cos y minus sin x sin y. Cos x plus y. This conversions you should know. Okay. Cos x cos y conversions you have to know. So you will get tan alpha plus phi. W tan alpha plus phi as maximum force. This is a maximum force needed to make the body in equilibrium and to restrict the upward movement of this particular body. So this is the second case. Now the third case is force acting at some angle with the inclined plane. So first we have applied a force along the plane. Next we have applied a force horizontally. Now we are applying the force at an angle to the horizontal plane. Okay, to the inclined plane. Okay. So this is the same procedure is followed here. For the minimum force, for finding the minimum force, friction will be acting upwards. F1 is equal to mu R1. I'm sorry. And we are resolving the force along the plane. So you'll get horizontally there are three forces, P1, F1 and W. Horizontal component of P1, F1 and horizontal component of W are there. Horizontal component of P1 is P1 cos theta because this angle is theta. This is our plane, so this angle is theta, so we'll get P1 cos theta. Mu R1 is in the same direction, so plus mu R1 plus W, this angle is 270 minus alpha. So you'll get P1 cos theta is equal to W sin alpha minus mu R1. In the second step, we are resolving the forces in a perpendicular direction. So in perpendicular direction, there are again three forces, R1 component of P1, vertical component of P1 and vertical component of W. R1 plus W sin 270 minus alpha plus P1 sin theta. So finally you will get W cos alpha minus P1 sin theta. Third step is you have to substitute the value of R1 in this equation. you will get this equation. Now you have to substitute the value of mu, you will get this equation. Now you have to multiply the numerator and denominator with cos alpha. So you will get this one here, cos x sin y minus sin y cos x, sin x cos y is equal to sin x minus y. Cos x cos y minus sin x sin y is equal to cos x plus y. So you will get w into sin alpha minus phi divided by cos theta plus phi. So you will get, this is a minimum force which have to be applied for restricting the motion of this body in the downward direction. Now the maximum force, again the same principle is used. Maximum force, when maximum force is applied, the body has a tendency to move upward. So the friction will be in the downward direction. So here there is a mistake, it is F2. In this figure there is a mistake, it is F2 actually. So F2 is equal to mu R2. So resolving the forces along the plane, you will get this one. Now resolving the forces perpendicular to the plane, you will get this one. Now we have to substitute this value in this equation. R2 is substituted here. You will get this equation. Again you have to substitute the value of mu. It is tan phi. You have to substitute it here. You will get this equation. Now you have to multiply the numerator and denominator with cos phi. You will get the final answer as w into sin alpha plus phi divided by cos theta plus phi. So this is the maximum force to be applied to this body for restricting its upward motion. So these are the conditions of equilibrium of a frictional body having friction. So with this we can conclude.